And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Yeah, baby. I'm trying to get at it early out the way before this damn construction crew starts tearing shit up outside. Excuse me. Let me pause for the cause and take a little sip of some of that Kentucky all. Now, ladies and gentlemen, man, welcome back. Welcome back. Yesterday, hey, sometimes things on Planet Hall get a little testy in this atmosphere. But hey, man, it is what it is. And one thing I will always do for as long as this thing exists is I will speak my mind. So, along those lines, an issue that I kind of wanted to get into a while ago, but it seems to kind of coincide with what I was talking about yesterday. And that is this whole notion about defunding the police. Yeah. So, look, full disclosure, there are police in my family, law enforcement of various types, corrections as well. And, a couple of my friends, one immediately comes to mind, are law enforcement. So, you'll never. I'm coming into this with a slight bias already. No, not with a slight bias, with a pronounced bias. Number one, because again, I have people close to me in my circle who are engaged and continue to engage in this profession. But the other part as to why I have a pronounced bias with this is because I'm not stupid. So, this whole notion of defunding the police, right? Well, it started to gain steam obviously, with the whole George Floyd situation up in Minneapolis, and I don't really want to rehash that, the rights and the wrongs, because the trial is going to take place. I will say this, that obviously, and I think we all are on the same page as far as this goes, that, the story that we were told and that most of us saw, there's a little bit more to it than that. That being said, let's move forward to the notion of defunding the police. So right after that, you had Jacob Frey, being the feckless limp dick he is, kind of pandering to the mob, right? And saying, okay, well, we're just going to get rid of the police, right? We're just going to defund the police. Well, okay. And now, there was a chain reaction of that. There were different cities who were doing that. I think San Francisco was one. Seattle, we all know what happened there. And also New York, right? And, unsurprisingly, in these cities, crime went up, right? And the latest thing I saw on the news was that Minneapolis, they have a spike in crime. And I wasn't really going to touch on Minneapolis specifically, but then I just saw something that it's amazing to me. This neo-leftist liberal, but you know what? Liberals have always had this trait. The ability to just explain away anything that is disaccording to what they're pushing, right? The ability to ignore any facts, anything that is disaccording to their narrative. And with that being said, I will take you to this article from CBS Local in Minnesota. The title reads, Minneapolis City Council President Lisa Bender, crime spike isn't connected to movement to dismantle Minneapolis Police Department. Okay, let's give it a chance, right? Let's give it a chance. Let's see what Lisa Bender. Boy, I tell you what, man. Whew, you know what? This will probably be a different episode some other time, but man, these ladies in leadership, see her, be her. Okay, here we go. Lisa Bender, President of the Minneapolis City Council is answering WCCO's questions about crime and safety in the city. Bender has been criticized by our constituents for not being available or visible during times of unrest in the city. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, she's not, cause yeah, she's look. Understand this game. They got money. They're not gonna sit there and burn with the city while you all burn your city down. Okay, let's keep going. One of those constituents is North Minneapolis resident Liz Cruz, who WCCO spoke with in mid-November. Help us. Come and see what's going on, Cruz said. We're not really getting any responses from the mayor or the city council. We feel kind of alone right now. Cruz is one of many Minneapolis residents asking for help and relief from gunfire and carjackings. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys saw, but I will make a link to it in the description. But the chief of police or someone speaking for the police, actually, they came out with a thing about how to be a good victim in Minneapolis, and one of the things was to just give up your. Let me just punch in Minneapolis good victim. I'll have to do some more. I'll have to do some more research. But they came out with like a little flyer. I don't know what you would call it. It was like a little list of things that you can do to not get yourself killed when the inevitable spike in crime came. You know, it's amazing. They were able to kind of predict that months in advance after they'd been defunded, but it's not connected. So let's just keep reading. Okay. Cruz is one of the many Minneapolis residents asked for help and relief from gunfire and carjackings. Bender acknowledges what's happening. Oh, it's good. She acknowledges it. We have an epidemic of violence that's affecting young people in our community, and especially young black men. And we need our whole community to come together to address this violence. That is such a platitudinous liberal answer. We just need the community to come together. For what? So they can all be robbed at the same time? Is this the same psychology that schools of fish apply when they're swimming in the ocean with shark-infested water? Where we just come together. It's going to get some of us, not all of us. Some of us will escape. Okay. But she says it will take time to find permanent solutions. Some say talk of defunding or dismantling the Minneapolis Police Department led to some of this recent violence. Bender disagrees. I stand by the commitment that I made in Powderhorn Park after George Floyd was murdered by the police. Murdered. Okay. We need a wholly new approach to community safety in Minneapolis. We need to prevent crime before it happens, and our current system is not working to keep people safe. Question, how do you prevent crime before it happens? Like, that's some Minority Report type shit. But okay, let's keep reading. Bender and her colleagues proposed a charter amendment that would eliminate the police department and create a new department for community safety and violence prevention. The Minneapolis Charter Commission declined to bring that concept before voters. Interesting. But Bender hopes to revisit that option next year. I think we need to restructure within our city how we're approaching public safety. Yes, you have done that, Ms. Bender. You've done a great job of restructuring how you're approaching public safety, and it is not approaching it at all. It is total chaos. But okay, let's go. Our experience hasn't shown that police alone will interrupt these cycles of crime and violence, and that we need a more strategic and effective solution. She blames a lack of planning by police and Mayor Jacob Frey. Wow. Saying their lack of attention is forcing the city council to step in. In a statement, Police Chief Midroria Arredondo says he needs the support of the city council in order to maintain peace and safety. That actually makes sense. Former council member Don Samuels believes Bender's plan does not address the here and now. He says he and others in North Minneapolis are living in a war zone. Your number one job as city leaders is public safety for the citizens of Minneapolis. Your number one job, Samuel says. We are not safe, you're failing. Mayor Jacob Frey tells WCCO he and Chief Arredondo have outlined clear and concrete steps taken to respond to gun violence. He says they've worked to implement policy reforms and allocate available resources where they are needed most. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the article. I want you to notice something that, and that again, this is like liberalism 101. There's always some kind of utopian, we just need to stop crime before it happens, but there's never anything concrete. It's always some kind of abstract concept that just lives in their minds. And the whole world can burn down, but we can't change this. We still need to push towards this goal because this goal is the right choice, even though it's having catastrophic consequences in the city. So, okay, well, that's what's going on in Minnesota. What's interesting is she doesn't actually say what is causing the crime spike. She just says it's not the fact that we've defunded the police. Okay, well, even though, again, just applying a basic scientific method we learn in high school about how you test hypotheses, right? You have controls and you have variables, right? The control is the thing that stays the same, that you can control, i.e. control. And the variable is the thing that varies, right? So I guess in this experiment, the variable would be the city, and the control would be defunding the police. Because Minneapolis isn't the only city that's defunded the police, right? So let's just look at this. Again, not a scientist, just remember high school science. Little sip of the oil. Yeah, boy. Just remember high school science. So let's just do a quick experiment. Ready? So Minneapolis is in Minnesota. Okay. Defunded their police. Crime went up. Okay. So Minneapolis plus defund police equals crime up. Okay. Well, New York. Okay, that's not Minneapolis. Plus defund the police. Oh, we got plus defund the police. Okay. Equals crime up. So, right there. Oh, we can go again. Let's go again. Seattle. Okay. Plus defund the police. Okay. Equals crime up. Wow. I think we're onto something, but hold on. Let's do, I don't know, San Francisco. San Francisco plus defund the police equals crime up. So, okay, it's not Minneapolis. I think we've established that, right? So what's the only other thing in that sentence? It's defunding the police equaling crime up. So just this notion that, but I don't know if these people are just so, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're just so narcissistic that they think that they're smarter than any problem that can ever arise, that they don't have to take into account real-time evidence, real-time results, people's opinions, people who know more than them, people who live these things firsthand. I don't know if it's their narcissism or if they really are this stupid. But, man, sorry for these people in Minneapolis. That is a sad thing. It's really sad to see these cities just kind of disintegrate. But you know what? You get the politicians that you vote for. So, meanwhile, right? Because we've defunded police, right? But at the same time, and that's the thing that cracks me up about this. These people out there clamoring for defund police, defund the police. All that means is that you're not safe. That's literally all that means. That means when somebody steals your shit, nobody's coming. Especially in some of these blue states where you can't own a firearm to protect yourself. So who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? Because meanwhile, the Minneapolis City Council, they've retained the services of a private security firm. Little reported on, but here we go from New York Post. Link for this will also be down there. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But this article was written June 27th of this year, right? So, New York Post. I like New York Post. First sentence: security for me, but not for thee. There it is. Yes, yes. 3 members of Minneapolis City Council who voted to eliminate local police force are being protected by a private security detail that costs taxpayers $4,500 a day. You get the politicians that you vote for. Wow. News of the arrangement broke Friday, the same day the council voted 12-0 to abolish the Minneapolis Police Department in the wake of killing of George Floyd. My concern is the large number of white nationalists in our city and other threatening communications I've been receiving. Council member Andrea Jenkins, there's another, told Fox 9 News, adding that she's been asking for private security ever since. The city has spent $63,000 on rent-a-cops for Jenkins and fellow council members Felipe Cunningham, Alondra Cano during the last weeks after the 3 said they'd received threats. Okay. First of all, I am so sick and tired of this white nationalist boogeyman. I really am. Maybe if we were living in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, maybe. But these people, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying they're not the ones causing the problems. Especially not in Minneapolis. Especially not in Chicago, right? Especially not in Seattle. Especially not in New York, okay? These people, again, I don't know if they think we're all stupid. Obviously, the people who live in these places are, because they keep voting for people like this. But white nationalists are not the problem. Sorry, not the problem. And again, that's not saying they don't exist. That's saying that, guess what? Problems are not always the same level of intensity, right? A problem that you had yesterday is not the same problem you may have today. For example, here we go. A problem I had driving home from work is that I had to go to the bathroom. Right? Does that mean tomorrow when I drive home that the problem will be having to go to the bathroom? Does that mean 5 minutes after I get home the problem will be I have to go to the bathroom? No, I will address it by relieving myself, and then the problem goes away. Soon to return, sure. Sure to return, maybe not soon, but sure to return eventually, sure. And when it does, you address it and it goes away again. So let's extrapolate that logic and apply it here, okay? White nationalists, problem historically, sure. Problem in 2020, no. Again, not saying they won't exist, just like I'm pretty sure I'll have to go to the bathroom at some point again in my life. But once you address the problem, it goes away. If you address it properly, it recedes. So I'm just so sick of hearing about these white nationalists. I really am. But trust me, they will be a problem again soon. I guarantee you that. And that'll probably have to be a different episode. Because we don't live in a vacuum. And there have been a lot of things, a lot of things done throughout all of this that will have consequences. Anyway. So, rules security for thee, or for me, but not for thee, right? So now you're paying $4,500 a day. And again, this was written in June 27th. We're now in October. So, and these people, it's amazing to me, the level of unthinking, the lack of foresight. So, you had problems with police, right? So now you've gotten rid of your police, right? Okay. Well, wait till you start tangling with these private security firms. Wait till you start having interactions with them when they are not beholden to any of you. See, the police are accountable to the community, regardless of what the activists and, the agitators want to say. The police are beholden to the community. These people aren't beholden to you. They're beholden to whoever's paying for them. In this case, the Security Council, who are all black, by the way. I'm looking at these photos. They're all black. Yeah, well, I guess these are good ones. These are the ones not hunting them. Okay. So these security firms, they're beholden to the people who are paying them. And it's very simple. What's our mission? It's almost like, I don't know if you guys seen Judge Dredd, the original one, not the horseshit remake. The original one with Stallone and Armando Sante. So, Armand's character, I forget his name, Rico. There it is. Just came to me. So he's like Judge Dredd's like a clone or his brother or some shit. They're connected somehow, but he's evil. And once he gets out of jail, the first thing he does is he gets this giant robot that's just a bastard of a machine, and just programs it to protect him. And anybody who steps to him, talks to him in a tone that he does not like, the robot intervenes. If he tells the robot to destroy someone, it destroys them. No questions asked. That's what you're dealing with now. That's what private security is. He woke the robot up. He said, "What's my mission?" And he programmed him. He told him, "What's my status? You're my bodyguard. What's my mission? Destroy." That's what you're dealing with now. By all means, test this theory and see what happens. Because not only now are these private security firms are not beholden to you. Who are you going to call if they mistreat you? Because you defunded the police. So who are you going to call? National Guard doesn't work that way. They're not on you can't call them. FBI, good luck. Because please understand that these security firms are big business. Big business. Especially ones, if they're being contracted by the government, we're not talking about NES, okay? We're not talking about those guys with the yellow shirts that make sure you're not bringing fireworks into a goddamn Dave Matthews concert, okay? We're not talking about them. We're talking about the ones who do business overseas. And they have vast networks and lots of money. So if somebody does something too egregious, let's say you push up on one of these city council members the wrong way and one of them thumps your head with an ass baton and cracks your skull. And it gets caught on the news for somehow and your story makes national headlines. Well, guess what? By the time the investigation begins, you can believe that the person who did that to you, they're not even in the state anymore. They're somewhere else. They've just been reassigned. But you get what you asked for. And this is all on your dime, Minneapolis. So, all of that aside, right? I have a bigger problem with defunding the police, aside from it being stupid, okay? Aside from you having to deal with shady private security firms that do not have the same standards that police have. They don't have the same standards, and they don't play by the same rules. There's another big problem with defunding the police. And you're seeing it right there with the crime, right? But there's a specific kind of crime that I want to talk about. Because anybody, and I've said this when they said, defund the police. Well, any guy that says that, I say, okay, you don't respect women. And any woman that says that, I say, you are a fucking moron. Because a lot of crimes will go up when the police go away. But there's a particular crime that's particularly heinous towards women that will go up when the police go away. Because the police are there to protect the weakest people of society. Now, that doesn't necessarily only apply to women. It applies to, in northern states, it applies to everybody. Because none of you have guns, so you can't defend yourself, right? But the gangsters have guns, right? The bad guys have guns because they don't play by the rules. So all of you are in a weak and compromised position, but particularly women. You cannot say you're a pro-woman and anti-cop in the same sentence. Those two things do not jive. Because if you think, ladies, if you think you are safe in these places where the cops have been defunded, where there are no cops coming, you got another thing coming. And, it's going to be a rude awakening for some of you because you've bought into all that Miss Marvel horse shit, hook, line, and sinker. You bought into all that. You think that it's an even playing field. It's not. It's not. And unfortunately, that looks like it's going to be a stark reality for some people in Minnesota, in Minneapolis at least. I, yeah, you see actual women saying defund the police. Are you stupid? What do you think is going to happen to you when you go to this? Hell, you're not going to, first of all, you're not going to go anywhere. It's going to end up like Book of Eli, where all the women they had heavy male escorts. You know, it had to be dudes you trusted. Or else, well. So, where do you think you're going to go? What do you think you're going to do? You cannot be anti-police and pro-women's rights. You just can't. Because those two things cannot exist together. They won't. I guarantee it. Well, anyway. Yeah, man. Defunding the police. Just another idiotic, knee-jerk, emotional reaction with zero logic behind it. Right? And then you heard this idiot AOC. And again, hey, it's funny, right? Because you had Elizabeth Warren, when she found out she wasn't getting elected for president, she in her, and it was such a pretentious thing for her to say. She's like, well, I guess these little girls will never see a female president because if you don't get elected, because if you and Kamala don't get elected, then you're the only hope. Right? There aren't other women who are coming up who are, let's just say, not scumbags, not liars, who actually have a reputable, who actually have a reputable standing, who will actually operate with integrity, right? If it's not you, it can't be anybody, right? So, but it's amazing hearing him say, well, I guess they'll never see a female president. And it's because our voters are, which is funny that they call... It's funny how they call their voters sexist, right? And it's supposed to be a dig on all of us. It's not a dig on all of us. It's a dig on the dudes who are still voting Democrat, which I said, I don't know how you're a dude and you support that. But at the same time, a lot of these dudes have no problem calling themselves feminists. So there you go. But the fact that they would call these guys sexist is so funny to me, right? It's just, if you don't give me what I want, I'm just going to call you names. I'm right at all times. Yeah, okay, well, and no coincidence, a lot of these guys who vote this way, well, their relationships look similarly to this as well. That'll be a different episode. That's probably Jim Halpert Effect Part 2. Anyway, but it's just amazing to me, right? It's the only reason that these women aren't being elected is because these guys are sexist and they just can't. Or it's because you're doing a terrible job with the small thing you are doing, and you've proven to be irrational and, wait for it, emotional, so people are uncomfortable and they don't trust you, right? Elizabeth Warren, right? Hillary Clinton never got over 2016. We still have to deal with the fallout of her not being able to take that loss. This city council member, president, that says, okay, this crime spike is not related to me defunding the police, okay. What about Jenny Durkin in Seattle saying, oh, it's just going to be a summer of love, a bunch of people get killed, blocks get taken over, businesses get destroyed, and nothing happens to her? What about Lightfoot in Chicago? Lets that city get burned down. So maybe it's not the fact that people are sexist. Maybe it's the fact that the ones that you have right now suck. Gretchen Whitmer, she's a tyrant that recently said she's going to completely disregard the ruling of the courts and she's going to do what she wants to do. Okay, well, you're playing into the stereotypes now. You're not being rational. So, and again, for what it's worth, for those who need it, black male here, understand the concept of having to be better than average just to be equal. Understand that concept. So maybe it's the ones you have in power. That Keisha Lance Bottoms in Atlanta. And then the irony is you had some very strong examples like Carmen Best, the chief of police in Seattle. They forced her to resign. Now, the chief of police of Atlanta, she was, I forget her name, is some white lady. She was the exact opposite. See, Carmen Best, I respect the hell out of her. She stood with her troops. She stood with her cops, troops, military. She stood with her people. And when they said we're defunding, she said, I'm out. I won't be a part of that. Respect that 100%. The one in Atlanta, no respect at all. With Rayshard Brooks, she fired the cop immediately and then she resigned. What a cowardly move. But, maybe it's the ones you have in power right now that aren't shining, the most flattering. Like, I haven't even gotten to the squad. I haven't even gotten to AOC running off jobs twice. First Amazon, then the construction. There was some construction job that they were going to do in some ethnic neighborhood that they were like, oh, it's just gentrification. You know what also creates gentrification? People not being able to pay their mortgage because they don't have a job. But, all right. So, maybe that's a closing thought, right? Maybe, maybe it's not that people are sexist. Maybe it's the ones that you have in power just really turning everybody off. What are you going to do? All right, so defunding the police. Stupid idea. Stupid, stupid, stupid. And if you want to do that, then you deserve everything that you get. Ladies and gentlemen, your High Chancellor has spoken. I'm going to have some more of this Kentucky all, and I'm going to take it down. So until the next time we meet, peace.